for our YouTube friends, we just took lunch. I hope it all stays in one video, but I'll find out later. We're just finishing up this little section and we're gonna do some independent work on your own, but I got a couple more points to make. So we've done a couple special examples. The next one is another special example that I kind of want to talk through. I think there's just 4 more that I want to do together, then I'll let you try the rest. So as we learned before lunch, we've got this log roll. So I set this equal to x. I start at my 8, roll through to my 1, roll through to my x, wrap around to my 1. So 8 to the x equals 1. What number does 8 need to be raised to in order for that to be 1? 0. Very good. The only number 8 to the 0 power will be 1. Similar idea here. Let's do my little log roll. 7 to the x equals square root of 7. How can I write square root of 7 as an exponent? 1/2, good, 1/2. So I'm going to make this 7 raised to the x equals 7 to the 1/2. And then that's nice and easy because x is just going to equal 1/2. Bless you. Cool. All right, 2 more on the next part. What happens if it doesn't have a log written? Do you remember what's assumed for my log to be, my log base to be? 10. Very good. My assumed base is 10. If I didn't know that, I'm probably going to go back over here where I wrote about natural log and just write normal log without anything is going to be log base 10. So if there's no base physically written, we assume it's a 10. So I'm going to log roll now that I've got that base 10 there. (10 to the x equals 100. And then 10 to what power gives me 100? 2. Thank you. All right, so we've done log base e's, which are LMs. We've done normal logs, which are log base 10s. We've done radicals. Now we haven't done a fraction yet. Let's just log roll this and kind of see where we get. So I've got 3 raised to the x equals 1/9. My thought is either one of 2 things. How can I make, what power do I need to raise 3 to make it 1/9? Or can I rearrange 1/9 to be 3 to a power? Kyle, what are you thinking? -2? What does the negative do to my 3? Makes it a fraction. And so that would be 1/3, but then Kyle does we have to square it because we want it 1/9. Very good. All right, I want you to try M through T by yourself or with a neighbor, and then I'll go over them in a few minutes, okay? So take a couple minutes. I want you to try M through T. Either by yourself or with a neighbor. that one more time. 10. You guys need another minute, or are we ready to talk about it? One more minute? Okay, take one more minute. Finish the one you're on. We're going to go over all of them really quick. Then we'll move on to another type of problem. Okay. Just going to log roll this guy, and then I'll kind of see what's going on. I've got 6 to the x equals the cube root of 6. As we've done a couple times now, remember radicals become a fraction as exponents. So 6 to the x equals 6 to the 1/3. So x equals 1/3. Ln is the same thing as log base e, 1 over e to the 3rd. Again, I set it equal to x, so I can do my log roll. E to the x equals 1 over e to the 3rd. What's x going to equal here? What'd you say, MK? Not a cube root. What makes it a fraction again? Negative where? Negative as my exponent makes it a square, or makes it a fraction, and the exponent is 3. So my x is -3. You can think of 1 over e to the 3rd as e to the -3rd. Okay, similar one for the next one. This time it's 4 to the x equals 1 over 16. Probably like the one we just did a minute ago. You're probably just like, oh yeah, I can do 4 to the -2 to get that. That's a lot like what we just did with the e's. Remember, every time there's a fraction, give me a negative with the answer, with the exponent. Number P is like the one that I have a poor explanation for. 10, log base 10, we just cross those out and we're just left with 7. Number Q does not have a base either, so we assume that it's 10. For us to log roll, 10 to the x equals 1,000. That is 3, correct? That 2 is the same thing as an exponent, so I can cross that 2 off, and I log roll it, and I get 3 to the x equals 9 squared. You can do this one of 2 ways. What a lot of people tend to do is they're like, oh, well, I'll do 9 squared. So 3 to something equals 81. And then they just kind of start guessing and checking to see, okay, x has to equal, in this case, it's going to be 4. I don't know all my perfect squares, and I have kind of a hard time getting there. Instead, what I think about is, okay, could I write 9 as 3 to some power and then square that? 9 is 3 to what power? Squared. So I can rewrite 9 as 3 squared. And do you remember when I do a power of a power, when I do 3 squared squared, what do I do to those 2's? Not add them, multiply. Add is when we're doing like 3 squared plus 3 squared, then you add them. Truly doesn't matter here because 2 plus 2 and 2 times 2 is both 4. But 3 to the x is the same thing as 3 to the 4th, which is also how I know x equals 4. The next one's similar, so I'll do it in a very similar way. I'll do both. You don't have to like the second way that I do things, but I think it's a little easier sometimes to keep it all straight. So I raise it to the 3rd power, set it equal to x so I can log roll. I get 2 to the x equals 8 to the 3rd. Again, you can do 8 to your 3rd, 8 to the 3rd. That's going to be 256, or no, 512, I think. Yeah. 512. I have the wrong number in my head from something else. And then you can even use your calculator to guess and check 2 to what power will that be. Or like I did on the last time, I can rewrite 8 as 2 to the 3rd and then raise that to the 3rd. So 8 becomes 2 to the 3rd. I still have to do 8 to the 3rd. When I'm doing my 2 to the 3rd, multiply my 3's, so that gives me 9. So that's a little easier way to get to x equals 9, but again, either way works, whatever makes you happy. Whatever makes the most sense in your head works for me. And then the last one, you just cross the e and the ln out and we get 4. All right, how do we do with that? Okay. A lot of this log roll is what the rest of this chapter kind of depends on. So I'm glad we're feeling okay about that. The next section is really similar to that. It's just set up a little bit differently. Got that? Okay. The next side, it says solve the following. So we're still finding out what x is. And this time we're going to log roll, but we're only log rolling, and the x is going to be in a different spot. We don't have to put the x in. It's already in the equation. My log without a base is log base 10. And I'm going to touch my 10, then my 3, and then my x, roll it on through. So I get 10 to the 3rd equals x. That's exactly what we were just doing, but now I can do what 10 to the 3rd is, right? That's easy. 10 to the 3rd is 1,000. So x just equals 1,000. We're not going to do all of these, but let's do letter B. So I'm going to do log, again, base 10 of x equals -1. Roll it around. 10 to the -1st equals x. And what's the same thing as 10 raised to the -1st? 1 over 10. 1/10. All right, let's actually do, we'll do letter D, we'll do letter G, we'll do letter H, and we'll do letter J. We'll do those 4. All right, ln equals 4. ln is the same thing as log base e. So I'm going to write a little e there. So when I log roll, I have a base. I'm going to do e to the 4th equals x. And you can plug that in the calculator. If I don't give you a calculator, or if this is like a multiple choice and that's an answer, that's an okay answer. Even if it's like a quiz and you're like, oh, I have my calculator, you can leave it as e to the 4th. That's totally fine. If you want to plug it into your calculator, press second ln. That will give you e already with an exponent, and you have to fill in the exponent. So I'm going to fill in 4. So that was second ln gives you e to an exponent, and then you fill in the exponent. So that means you can leave it as e to the 4th, or you can make it 54.6. Both those answers are okay. We doing okay so far? All right, got a couple other fun examples over here. Letter G. Alpha's going to be mad because I taught them a hard way, and then I taught you and A an easier way. Because I thought about this during A, and I was like, oh, I can make an even easier way. We know that -2 is the same, can go as the exponent on x. but it's also being multiplied by your ln. So what I can do here, instead of moving that as my exponent and then log rolling, I can just divide off by -2. I still get ln of x equals -2, and then we can solve from there. My little base is e, even though it's not written, I'm going to write it there so I can log roll. E to the -2 equals x. Well, x is by itself, so it's just easy to make it into 1 over e squared equals x. Again, you can do it by raising that x to the -2, but we did it in alpha, and it took just like longer and more complicated than it had to be, so we're just not going to do that. Let's do letter H. When I log roll this, what's my equation going to be? What to the what equals what? We said 10 to the 1/2 equals x. 10 is my base. 10 raised to the 1/2 equals x. 10 to the 1/2 is the same thing as just the square root. Square root 10 equals x. We're going to do one more with a fraction in it, but this time it's not log of x, it's ln of x. So what's my base going to be here? E. And when I write it in, when I do my log roll, what's it going to be in exponential form? E to the 1/4 equals x. You can leave it as e to the 1/4 equals x. You can make it 4th root of e equals x. You can do in the calculator second e caret 1 divided by 4, and you get 1.28. All of those are okay answers. I don't mind in either one of them, or I don't hate any of them. Those are all fine. All right, that is the end of 3.3. Anybody have any questions yet on that? So I know that we finished 2 homeworks, so you have, or 2 lessons, so you have 2 homeworks due next time I see you. So another question, take today and
Can you slide over the GA?
Oh yeah.
That's some sure.
I've got one more thing I want to do with you, and then the rest of the class is yours. Okay. I want to scroll down for 3.4 down to number 3, and I left my calculator up because this is calculator problems. So I'm going past number 1, I'm going past number 2, and I'm coming down to number 3 where it says evaluate. There's a lot of space that doesn't really need to be a lot of space because we're going to plug all those in the calculator, and you're just going to get one answer out. Now, you have 2 options. I'm going to teach you the long cut first, and then I'm going to teach you the shortcut second, okay? My other classes told me that you guys already know how to do it the long way. We call this something change of base. So if you look at your calculator, there's no log base 3 button. There's a normal log, which means it's assumed it's a log base 10. You also have an ln, which is a log base e. There's no way to edit what those bases are right here. There is a way in a second, but right now there's not. And if you have an old calculator, you can't edit it at all. Instead, what we do is something called change of base, and we're going to make a fraction. We're going to have a log divided by another log. And you put the base, the one that's lower, you put that 3 in the denominator. The base goes on the bottom. And then the number we're taking the log of goes on top. So instead of being log base 3 of 4, it's now log of 4 divided by log of 3. And those are logs like the log button you press in the calculator with a base of 10. Biggest thing is remember to put parentheses. So if I do log base 4 and then I divide by log base 3, close all your parentheses. This one says round to the 10,000th, so I'm going to do 1.2619. most of you have newer calculators and you can do the shortcut, but some of you will not be able to, so I want to show you the long way. Anybody have questions on the longer way? Still not that long. Your shortcut, I want you to press math, and I want you to scroll down until you find a capital A. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and then it's going to get to a capital A. And that's my last option. If you cannot find A on your calculator, you have to do the first method I told you. Sorry about you. If you do find letter A, I want you to hit that. I want you to press enter. And now you can edit the base on there. So I can write a little 3 down as my base, and I can scroll over and write 4 as my big number. And that looks identical to what was on my paper. My answer is also identical to what I got earlier doing change of base. We did not have this technology when I was in high school, so we always had to do change of base, but you guys have fancier calculators, so now you might be able to press math and then scroll down to A, which says log base. What I want you to do is I want you to find the rest of these. So there's 5 more. I just want you to practice punching them in. Punch them in, what do you get? And it says round to the 10,000th, which is 4 spaces after your decimal. I'm gonna write the answers up so you can check, and that's the last thing I want from you. So once you practice plugging and chugging, you are done for today. That's all you do. I want you to go to 4 places after the decimal. If I care, I will be very specific. If not, I usually just go 2 places after the decimal, and that's usually a safe bet. I don't need my calculator anymore, so I'm gonna get rid of it. So now you should see all of my decimals. Again, one method is change the base. The other method is math and go to A, which says log. Once you're done, you can spend time working on your homework. About 10 more minutes.
What homework is due?
3, 2, and 3, 3. And I believe there are boxes already on Schoology. And lucky you, that's not till Thursday. Everything that we've done up to the point of the quiz. So 3-1 to 3-3 definitely, and then we'll see how much we get through tomorrow. It's a bigger quiz. There's a lot of material, but I'm trying not to make it too long. It'll still just be a front and a back. Is there a review packet for the quiz? There'll be for one for the test, but not for the quiz. I will have one for the final in the next couple days, but I don't have one yet.
How long is the final gonna be?
Think about like the length of a test and a half. It's 90 minutes. So it can't be that long. Mm-hmm. Go for it. I'm gonna stop recording.